I'll take care of the glasses. Mr. Adam, how are you?
Excellent, Nick. How are you?
Fantastic.
Finally, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Are we live, Brian?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'll begin by calling this meeting of the Public Safety Committee on July 16th, 2020. It is 3:30 p.m. The meeting is being televised on the city's YouTube channel, as well as the local cable access, and information is available online for that. We're going to just get into the meeting, if that's okay. The first item is the swearing in of committee members, and Laura Campagnolo will take over on that part. Laura, are you?
She's still muted. She's gone.
Yeah, I know she. I don't see her call-in number.
Yeah. Should we get her on the phone, perhaps?
I'm Looking for that number right now.
Got it.
All right.
So, Lieutenant, how are you doing today?
Doing okay? Doing okay, one day at a time, huh?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I read a thing about Berkeley today regarding traffic enforcement. Did you see that?
No, what did it say?
Basically, they're going to remove police officers from enforcing traffic. So they're going to have their own traffic division that will be unarmed, making traffic stops.
Yeah, that'll work out.
Okay, guys, I joined the meeting. Sorry about that. I was having technical difficulties, so I had to dial in. Are you ready to be sworn in?
Please.
Okay, and I've emailed each of you the oath of office, all 4 committee members. So I understand Rick is not on the meeting, so I will get in touch with him separately and swear him in. If you could please just email your form back to me or mail it to me, whichever's easiest for you, just at your convenience. And if you would please all just raise your right hand and then repeat after me. I state your name.
Gary Walsh.
Judah,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution
of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
Against all enemies.
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
Constitution of California.
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any
mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will
well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties about which I am to enter.
And that's all. Just email me the forms. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a good meeting.
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, Adam, did you want us muting when we're not speaking?
That would be great, actually.
Help the meeting?
Please. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if somebody's not speaking, please mute your microphones. It just helps us keep down the background noise. So with that, I will call this meeting to order. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Are there any volunteers to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Who's got the flag in the background there?
Bye.
Gary.
Yeah, I guess so.
Gary.
All right. Well, usually I have to stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So.
Please.
Back up here. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
United States of America.
United States of America.
and to the republic
Republic for which it
which
stands,
stands
one nation under God,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Good job.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the roll call. So I will call each of your names, if you can just say here. Nick Bercuda,
Here.
Joe Janis,
Here,
Gary Walsh,
here.
Ed Manhart.
Here.
All right. Moving on, the fifth item is our special orders of business and special presentations. Today's first item is the nomination and selection of Public Safety Committee Chair and Vice Chair. This is something that would typically be done annually at the first meeting after the newly appointed committee members assume office. In July, the committee is required to select a chair and vice chair from among its members. So at this point, I will turn it over to all of you to make a nomination and selection for those.
I'll nominate Nick as our chair.
I'll second that.
Boy. And vice chair, I go for Joe.
I second that.
Move
Okay.
that nominations be closed. How's that?
That would be appropriate if you'd like. At this point, though, we'll take a vote on the first item, the chair nomination for Nick Bercuda. And if everybody can vote for that.
Aye.
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 Okay, so that passes. That would be 3-1. Yeah, 3-0 and 1 with committee member Leffler absent. So the second item is the vice chair, and that was a nomination of Joe Janis. If everybody could vote on that.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that passes 3-0-1 with committee member Leffler being absent. So with that, typically the chair of these committee members, these committee meetings, would run the meetings. So Mr. Bercuda, if you would at this point would like to, it's your discretion. If you would like to read through the agenda and lead the meeting, if you would like me to present agenda items as the time is appropriate, either way is fine with me.
Thank you. I don't have any preferences on the first meeting. I'm not sure, of anything except that I got the printed agenda in front of me. We can start running down there and see where we go from there. I think the first thing we need to do is the 5B, which is future meeting schedules for the future meetings and times. So I'm going to ask the members and Mr. Manhart their preferences as far as days and times, if that's appropriate, and Adam too, obviously.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about this item is that the Public Safety Committee is an ad hoc committee, so all of its meetings are special meetings, and so essentially at every meeting we need to identify the next meeting date. So for this item, all we need to decide on is the next meeting of this committee.
Okay, the housekeeping end of it would be, what is the minimum amount of time you need to post this to make it legal?
72 hours.
Got it. Okay, so at least we know that. Okay, let's see, today's 16th. Anybody have a problem? I'll just throw it out, the 23rd, which is a week from today. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to say that this meeting is probably going to be best if we plan the next meeting about a month away. Most committee meetings are not on a weekly basis.
Okay.
And just depending on what comes out of this meeting, staff may need some time to prep for the next meeting. So a month out would be preferable. And then right now we are dealing with a slight time crunch to get the work plan done. But these types of committees tend to meet on a monthly or every other month basis.
Okay, I guess it would depend on what our objectives are and what kind of a time frame we need to do to get our work done too. So as far as putting out a particular date and all that, I think it's a month would be minimum. But if we want to get going on what we need to do, it might be advantageous to do it a little sooner.
Yeah, I looked at some of the other committees, and some of them meet twice a month. Some meet every month, others meet every other month, and some even quarterly. But I agree with Nick that since we're not sure exactly what our mission is and all this stuff, so I think we have to have another meeting for sure within a month, so we know where we're going, and then we can decide from there how often we're going to want these meetings. So I don't think it should go any longer than a month before we have one.
What about Gary? What do you think? You're muted. Gary, you're muted, so we can't hear you. I'm gonna take it off the mute. Okay. All right.
I'll attempt to contact Gary about the mute issue. In the meantime, I will say that one of the options for right now, some of the committee members have mentioned that the timing of the meeting is dependent upon the work necessary to do. So we could always leave this item for now, come back to it later in the meeting.
I think that.
All right, yeah, I'm good. As soon as possible is good. Anytime that you guys feel is a good time. I figured out my mute issue. So.
Good for you.
Well, literally what happened is I went to my email to see if I was missing the agenda because I didn't have an agenda, and then I couldn't get back into me. I could hear you guys, but I couldn't get back to the meeting. Anyways,
God.
I'm good now.
So we're going to table this as far as the timing and all that until we find out later in our agenda, do we have homework to do or not, and what our expectations are, I think. Right, Adam?
That sounds like the prudent way to move forward.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll look at item 6, which is minutes, and there's nothing to approve because obviously we don't have any history here. This is the first one. So we also have number 7, which is oral and written communications. All this is anything that Adam, that we need to discuss on a written communications that have come up.
I have not received any public communications at this point.
Okay. So reviews and recommendations, I see none. New business is item number 9, consideration and development of Public Safety Committee work plan. Okay. Review and discussion by the committee related to City Council's direction to develop a committee work plan to be submitted to the council no later than October 1st. Okay. Work plan. What can you give me a direction on that, Adam?
So the charge of the Public Safety Committee is to develop an annual work plan, which is the item we're talking about now. However, aside from that, the major direction that we've received from council is to review performance measures and make recommendations to the city council related to the city's public safety services. So the work plan, and I emailed the blank template of this earlier. It's also posted on the website of the Public Safety Committee's page. Essentially, we're called at this point to identify, or I should say the committee is called at this point to identify specific actions, the resources necessary, and the timing for those, for the goals of the committee over the next year. So it's a little bit open-ended in terms of what the committee decides it would like to address. The ultimate direction will come from the council,
breaking up here.
reviewed.
Oh, I tell you,
Yeah,
just lost it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up that last minute of what you said about the work plan. Can you give that to me again?
Absolutely. So the work plan essentially is it's at this point it's going to be the ideas for specific actions and goals that the committee would like to accomplish over the next year. The template identifies a number of items that need to be filled in for council approval. Specifically, the name of the project, the purpose, goals, and deliverables of the project, the estimated cost if there is any, the timeline and resources needed. So, with the direction that we've received from the council related to the Public Safety Committee, the committee is being charged with the review of performance measures and the development of recommendations to the council related to the provision of public services in public safety services in San Clemente. So it's a little open-ended at this point, but the council will review the ideas that the committee develops, and once they approve the work plan, that's the direction that we'll receive to move forward.
I think we have to first come to a consensus on to define the problems. We're from different, I'm from fire and we have guys from police and stuff, and we've got to define what our problems are. I'm sure my thoughts are different from Nick's and different from Gary's. Is there any way we could have some kind of a workshop, or do we just bring things together and throw ideas separately over emails each other? Because that's, it is open-ended, and I think that we've got to collectively know what our problems that we're looking at and what our public is saying and stuff like that.
The committee is required to adhere to the Brown Act, and so the discussions about this topic should really be done in an open forum. So what I would recommend is either the committee essentially has a discussion now or at another meeting about the specific items that they would like to tackle, or the committee can individually develop some of their own ideas, and in the next meeting present a more finished version of an idea to the other members of the committee. Additionally, if there's research that the committee would like, some more information that the committee would like to better identify what direction the work plan should go, you're more than welcome to ask me to do some of that research between now and the next meeting. And I'm more than happy to communicate with our fire chief and our chief of police services on that kind of information, if that helps.
Yeah, and I can't really make a decision on things or even know where to go until I know what we're looking at. It's really open-ended. So my suggestion is that maybe for the first meeting, we all collectively come together and we discuss what problems we want to look at in fire and police and things like that. We have Lieutenant Manhart there that we could ask questions in the interim before we get to the next meeting. But if we just try and start filling out this annual work plan, I think it would fall short, because I don't think any of us really know what we're looking at right yet. So maybe our next meeting should just be designated to talk about what our community wants to see changed and what some of our council members want to see, whether they want changes or not changes. But we have got to define our problems first.
That's appropriate. That's appropriate. Now, let's see. How do we address this? Because we're starting with a blank slate at this point. We're developing a work performance plan, We got to know, a lot of this is we don't know what we don't know. And by asking and getting involved in all this is we can start asking these questions. Now, as far as one, I'll back up just a little, change the subject, but hold it, is on the Brown Act. Can we individually go to like Ed and ask him stuff without filing the Brown Act? Or how does that work for you, as you understand it, Adam?
So, in the context of this type of committee, what the committee members want to avoid is discussing committee business when there's a quorum present. So
Got it.
people can communicate with one another, or you're more than welcome to individually communicate with Lieutenant Manhart. Yeah, that's fine.
Or his designee, obviously. Lieutenant Manhart, are you, do you have a designee, or should we contact you directly?
No, contact me directly. I'm going to handle whatever you guys need. It'd just be easier coming from me, and I would make sure that I'm available for this and for whatever you guys need. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be your direct contact.
For example, I reviewed, I got a copy of the Sheriff's Department's contract with the city, and there's a whole bunch of acronyms in there that aren't spelled out, and I've got to talk to somebody and say, what does those acronyms mean? And I think I'll have to call you directly and fill those out so that we all understand what's going on here, because
Not a problem.
the government is all full of these acronyms, and I'm aware of a lot of them, but some of these are new to me. So, I mean, it's that type of thing that clarification things, and then we can bring those clarification ideas together as a group and discuss them that way. Perfect. Gary, you're muted again.
There we go. Okay. I had it backwards. Sorry. Would it be appropriate to have a public forum to hear ideas with the public? Because I know, reading a newspaper article a couple weeks ago, it seemed like there are a lot of voices out there, and whether we think some are good and some are bad, but I mean, I think the public should be able to weigh in, and so we can determine, okay, maybe that's an issue we should look at, maybe not, but it seems to me, like what Joe was saying earlier, we're basically like the old parable of the blind people feeling the elephant, and each one's going to say, oh, well, he's this, he's that, so we really need to, I think, kind of hear a lot of different voices before we can actually begin to even look and see. Maybe there is no problem, maybe that's what we'll determine. I don't know.
Chair Rakuta, if I could interject here for a second. The ideas like identifying the top issues affecting the city currently, that in and of itself could be a work plan goal. I don't think we're limited in terms of the work plan to actually solving specific issues. I think one of the options that we have for the, at least the first year, and the document can be amended by council action later on, but we could always start with a work plan that involves specific goals about identifying the overall scopes and issues of public safety in the city. So something like a public meeting could be one of the action items that the committee would like to perform as part of the work plan.
Okay, I think also that the input of the city council is very important too, because they're the ones that said, hey, we need to have this committee put together. There must have been a reason for it.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. So in looking for this information, it may benefit the group to not limit the way we're considering the work plan to be specific, the specific solving of problems, but more the identification of the issues most affecting the city to inform future work plan items of the committee.
Okay, so I have a question. You know, they had this matrix thing 4 years ago, and I'm not sure if things have changed a whole bunch since then. Lieutenant Manhart can answer some more of this for us, but you know, the city spent some bucks on it, spent a lot of time, and they had public meetings, and they had a lot of surveys to citizens and stuff. And so I'm not sure how much has changed in 4 years. I think Gary's idea is excellent to see what the people had to say and have a public forum, and then compare to if things have changed much. So I think we all should read that manual and kind of get acquainted with it. It helped me a lot by reading it. I'm not sure how Lieutenant Manhart feels about it. He's probably read it pretty good, and he probably has a lot of thoughts on that. And maybe we should, you know, read through those and talk to the lieutenant about it and see what his take is on some of that stuff. And then have a public meeting to find out what our citizens think. Because I think that's the biggest thing that our council wants. They want happy citizens out there. And so if that's what our goal is to do, we need to find out what the problems are, and we might find they're about the same that they were in the matrix.
Any comment, Ed, on that?
No. So basically, what you guys want to go over the matrix study? Is that the several years ago? Is that what you guys like to go over?
Well, my point is, I don't know anything about policing, and that's where I started, and I read through it. And some of the concerns were some of the nuisance things, you know, with people breaking into cars and the amount of time it takes for a type 2 priority for us to get there. I read that, you know, we don't have a great priority 1 crime problem in our city, but we got a lot of nuisance plans. So if that stuff is still true, then you can inform us, say, you know what, that's pretty spot on what our citizens are thinking. And then we find out from our citizens if that's correct. And then that's when we come into play, and we can kind of determine how are we, along with you, going to take care of this problem and get it out to the citizens that, yeah, we're doing something about this. An example is from our neighborhood watch group, I got another guy at the bottom of T Street that say, you know, we have fireworks going on every night, and I hear them, and I'm told by everybody around the city we got fireworks still going on. And that probably happens a lot after 4th of July, which would stop soon. But we have that going on. We have people still, you know, creating nuisance down at T Street. And one of the guys was told the other night that by the dispatcher, say, you know, you're a repeat complainer here, and we really can't do anything about that stuff going on. So this is just hearsay, but this is kind of stuff that we as this committee have got to get it to you so we could figure out how to make these citizens happy, so we're not hearing that anymore.
Sure.
So first we have to define the problem and see if that is still the problem we're having.
Yeah. What's the problem we're trying to solve? That's it. And like I said, the city council has got some sort of issues that they probably want us to look at too. We can list all these. So I think that the next thing is next meeting, you know, we gotta, you know, like you're talking about a workshop thing, we got to get together and list all that, do some brainstorming here, even before community meeting. We can have that at you know, soon also, but we just got to get to know how we work together. And what are the vehicles that we've got available? You know, it's like, are we supposed to be looking at the fire department too? Should we look at stats on the fire? How about the lifeguard thing? You know, is that part of public safety? I look at the city budget, and it's police, fire, and lifeguards. Should that be part of our mission goals? So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things out there, and you know, and then we got to spend our time on the most important things, I think. and who makes up that decision on what's the most important. I think we obviously will prioritize all that stuff, and then October 1st is the goal that we have to get back to the city council with this plan. So I think we need to start, at least brainstorming and find out what problems are, because I know Gary's got issues, and Joe, you've got your issues, and Ed's got issues, and Rick will probably have his own personal views on things. So, Adam, I think we, we're getting closer to having how soon do we need the next meeting? Because we're out here trying to, like Joe says, define the problem. Right, Joe?
Yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I did get a copy of that matrix, and it just whether the stuff is true or not, it at least gave me some kind of an idea what the people were worried about and things like that. I think it would be a good idea for all us committee meetings to read that, make some notes, and ask Ed about it. Say, hey, is this still seem to be the problem? And then combining with that, then we could ask the public, we could get surveys taken, or have a public meeting and find out. And once we do determine that, then we'll be able to chart our course of action. If we don't know what our problem is, what are we going to do? That's where we have to start. And at that point, then we could define alternatives and then come to consensus on what's the best one to go. And the biggest thing is, the first year, this thing is so big, we can't have a whole bunch of stuff. We want to take, baby steps, one step at a time, finding what's going on, and then solving a problem at a time. And so that's what my thoughts are. We could get so confused in this stuff, guys, if we don't break it down. So, Adam, I believe that if we could get a matrix copy, printed copies of the matrix report to all the members, we could go through it before the next meeting, and I think we could talk to Lieutenant Manhart about some of the stuff, and then at that time we could determine if we want to have a public meeting and find out if things have changed that much. I don't know if we could accomplish much more at this meeting today, but have that action item where we're all going to get tuned into that, and then maybe after that one's over, then we could do a study on the fire department and see what's going there. But I mean, this is a big topic here, guys. And so we could get real confused or just take it a step at a time.
There's a lot going on. That's why we're here, is to kind of break it all down, because the city council's even got more stuff going on, and at least we're going to kind of narrowing it down.
Maybe Ed will have some input on that matrix if he thinks it's worth our while to read it or not, or he has a better way to show us. I don't know.
Something to look at, that's for sure. Adam, is the matrix available online or in a digital format at all?
It is currently available. It's actually on the Public Safety Committee's page now.
Oh, okay.
So that's at san-clemente.org/public safety. It's at the bottom. It relates to there's the background section of it that relates to the Public Safety Task Force, which was originally charged with reviewing that document.
Okay.
So that is available. I'll also make a copy available to the committee members.
Right. Joe, you lent me your copy. It had the notes and stuff on the side. I got to get that one back to you so that you can refresh yourself with those notes. They're very, very handy on that. Thank you.
We'll tie up sometime. I'll pick it up from yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it sounds like the committee's, unless there's more discussion, is wrapping this item up. I just want to say before we finish this item, is there any information that you would like from staff prior to the next meeting? I don't know if I know there's some other public safety committees that have been formed in other jurisdictions, and I could probably easily gather kind of the basic information about their work plans, kind of figure out some best management practices related to what other public safety committees have done, what they've looked at, and maybe what their first year was really focusing on, if that would assist. Otherwise, if there's other information that you'd like staff to help in gathering, please let me know.
Well, there's a couple of things that I'd like to see. You guys forwarded on the contract with the fire authority. Unfortunately, that is the originating document for the fire authority, which is like 20 years old. Do you have anything as far as deployment, resources, what's at each station, how do we get a hold of, those type things that like with the sheriff's department, we know how many deputies are assigned. We don't know that with the fire department, or at least I don't know where to get that information. So that's what I like to see. Okay.
I can gather more information on that.
There's a couple other things. Is the public safety committee, commissions, whatever that I've been involved with, they've always had a monthly report of what's been happening in this jurisdiction, from the law enforcement and with the fire, so we get to know what's going on, what's hot in the past, and if there's any projections into the future, that would be nice too.
I'm planning to get those documents for the monthly meetings. That's will eventually be what is reviewed under what's identified on our agenda today as item 8. This first meeting, we did not gather those documents, but
Right.
In the future we will get those.
Perfect. Good. Okay.
Is just a point of clarification for the monthly reports. Is the committee interested only in fire and police? I know there was a question about public safety generally and what that entails.
Well, if our charge is public safety, and if the city is designated as a law enforcement, fire, and lifeguard type thing, that might be interesting to know what's going on in that field, because they may have a problem that we don't even know about. Anybody else have a question on that? Gary, anything you want to add to that one?
I disagree with you. I think Marine Services should be included in that, and so that would be part of our overall committee. I do think that we could have too many plates in the air by looking at all of them at the same time. I think we should just get kind of charged from the city. Which one do they want us to focus on first, and then move on from there? And move on. Look at all three, but maybe find out what their priority is, what the focus is first.
Sure. Well, I don't want to leave anything out, especially if there's something there that's obvious that there's a problem. At least we can identify it and then ask the city council, do you want us to look any more into this or not, type thing. I don't have any documents to show me anything at this point.
At one of the last council meetings, they talked about a marine safety position, and the council voted not to touch it. They're gonna let it. I think they talked about getting rid of one of the positions or something like that, but they're not going to touch it. They're going to leave it as is. So I'm not sure they're really concerned about marine safety right now. I do think that we're going to have to in the future talk about that because it is part of it. But since we have so much going on right now, I think we should stick to maybe just either police or fire. And since we've already, I think this committee was originally formed because of policing. We should probably start out with that one. That's
Sure.
my thoughts about it. Anyway.
I don't disagree at all. I was just trying to get a handle on what public safety is in the community, and just getting these basic monthly report it may be something that those agencies give to the city council on a monthly thing, and we could be part of that too. Not that we have to work on it or jump on it all, but it may lead us into, oh, wait a minute, here's an item here that maybe we can help with. I mean, that type of thing, right?
Yep.
Understand that, how that works?
Yeah, I think the committee's on the right track here. At this point, we're talking about some information gathering, and in the future, as part of the work plan, we can identify maybe specific concepts about, or goals about addressing the different aspects of public service. Once the work plan's approved, that will give that'll be council's direction as to what they want the committee to focus on.
Right. So at least we've got the data here to say, hey, it looks like there may be a problem that we can help with, or something that the city council could say, hey, I hadn't even thought of that. You guys are in the right track. I don't know yet. I've got to have some data here to do that, I think. Any more on this particular the work plan ideas? If we can go to the next item, which is nomination and selection of 2 committee members to serve on a homeless subcommittee of Human Affairs Committee. Adam, can you tell me what that is?
Yes, so the council established a subcommittee that is, it's a subcommittee of the Human Affairs Committee related to essentially dealing with or over reviewing the city's homelessness issue. As part of that subcommittee, 2 of the Public Safety Committee members are charged with sitting on that subcommittee. At this point in time, I do not know when they're going to meet, and I'm not even sure currently what the rest of the composition of that subcommittee is. But at this point, we're looking for a nomination and selection for 2 committee members to serve on that.
Do we know what their goals are, or what, is it a voting member, or is it I'm not even sure what that all means.
I do not have information about the subcommittee, unfortunately. I would assume that the members of the Public Safety Committee that serve as subcommittee members would in a voting member position, but I can't say for certain. If more information on this is necessary prior to a selection and appointment, this is always something we can circle back on at the next meeting. Mm-hmm. If it's something that the committee feels they're comfortable moving forward with at this point, we can do that as well now.
Yeah, I'd like to get Rick involved in this too, because we're looking for volunteers, and I don't want to run Rick out of the thing altogether because he's not here, and I don't want to, make him one of these committee members because he wasn't here to defend himself type thing, So
I nominate Ed.
Hey, no, on that, just FYI, first of all, I'm not going to do it. Number 2, no, what I do is I will provide my HLOs, my homeless liaison officers, to attend, because they're the experts in it, and they should be, if they have specific questions about that, they would be the best people for that information. So, not that I don't want to do it, but I have people that are going to attend in just to help out the meeting as possible. But I don't believe that would be sufficient for counting as 2 members from our committee that represent that.
I'll step forward and be one of the subcommittee members. If somebody wants to nominate, I don't know if it's proper to nominate yourself or not. But
no, let's do for volunteers, because we're there. And Gary, you volunteer. That's wonderful.
Sure.
And, I don't know, between Joe and Rick and, who else wants to do this, I'll get a hold of Rick and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you. Would you like to take advantage of it? We can go that way with it.
Yeah, I'd like to see if he would also. That brings up another thing. We were supposed to have 5 members on this committee. We only have 4. And I read how they were supposed to bring committees on. Each council member is supposed to elect a member, and that member is supposed to last throughout the term of that council member. So I'm not sure how we're going to fill this position. Any thoughts on that, Adam?
From the records of the city council meetings that I've seen, at this time, that 5th vacant seat is not going to be filled. I would assume once there's a 5-person council that the 5th seat would be filled.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
The next question is, how are we going to be assigned to terms? It's supposed to be every odd or even year, and the council member that selected you or appointed you is you run with him. So I don't think any of us are assigned to any particular council member. I think there were 4 or 5 volunteers, so that's how we got on the committee. So maybe we're going to have to figure out that too, so we all know how long our term's going to be.
Yes, I believe that information is in the final version of the Public Safety Committee, one of the documents that was approved by council in the ordinance that established the committees. That ordinance was adopted, let's see, that looks like November 5th of 2019 was when this was originally presented to council. What I'll do is I'll review this. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly the answer to your question, Joe. But let me review this, and I will. I'll provide an update at the next meeting.
Yeah, I got a copy of it too, and it's just perfunctory. They're just laying out all the rules and regulations, and if you don't show up to 3 meetings and you're unexcused, you're off the committee type thing. Those type things. So, I mean, it's just a guiding document. So you have some rules and regulations on it. So, short of bringing in when we're going to do the next meeting, is there anything else we need to talk about? Adam, you're muted.
Just for clarification, are we then going to move the nomination and selection of 2 committee members to the next meeting?
Please.
Okay.
So I'd like to get a positive one on Rick, one way or the other on it. And I don't want to start off the meeting by pushing people into things they don't want to do. That's not good. We're here to defend yourself. You got it. Thank you. Okay. All right. If that's all we got there, then we got to look at our next meeting. We want to be productive. We've been waiting around for, 3 or 4 months waiting for this day to happen. So let's grasp it and actually let's do something with it. And I think sooner than later is for me would be good. I don't know, Adam. I don't know how hooked up you are on dates and stuff, but let me know what you think. Because I'm thinking, within a couple of weeks myself, as long as I can concurrence from my other committee members.
Did we determine if we're going to get that matrix study out to everyone? We're going to read it and speak about that at the next meeting?
Well, the matrix is out there. You just have to go online to our city public safety committee section there, and apparently it's supposed to be there. Okay.
What I'm looking at is what are we going to discuss and what's our goal for the next meeting?
Got it.
I don't want to just have a meeting that we're going to come and, have things and discuss. We have to have a set goal that we want to do, whether it's to define our problems, whether it's to set our primary goals and measurable objectives. So I think that's what we need to do for the next meeting. And if it's going to take us a while to read the matrix report, which it's pretty lengthy, and if you're I'm not a police officer and never was, so I'm not. It takes me a while to get through that stuff. So if you concur that that's the plan, that we should all read it, and then that we could maybe from that point we could decide if we wanted to talk with Lieutenant Manhart about some of his feelings toward it, and then if we want to set up after that a public meeting to see what other people think. I just don't know if we should just come back to the meeting with not having a set agenda of what we want to get accomplished at it.
Right. For me, it would be very helpful if I had a brainstorming session and find out what we think as a committee, including Ed, what the problems are that we should be thinking about to address. For example, Joe, you talked about having a public forum. That's one. To find out what the citizens want. We should also query the city council. That's another one. We should ask Ed what's his concerns on the thing, or ask the fire guy. And individually we may even have some ideas. So just writing down and doing a brainstorming session that would be very helpful to me, because I don't know what everybody else is thinking. So we can do that now, or we can do it in a workshop type thing, but it seems like under the Brown Act, if we all get together, it's got to be agendized, just like another committee member, right, Adam?
That's correct.
Yeah. So we can either do it now and get our ideas right now, now that we've got the three of the four of us here, plus Ed, or we can, pick up another meeting and do the brainstorming at that time too. But that would be helpful to me. I don't know if that'd be helpful to the rest of you. Joe, you're muted.
Yeah, it would be very helpful to me. But I think that I need to review again some of the things I read in the matrix and maybe talk to Ed before we even have the next meetings, get some of his feelings upon it. So I would feel a lot more comfortable having notes and everything to discuss it so I would say we wait till the next meeting for that.
That's fine. That's good. But we're still at the point of, two things: is when to have it sooner than later, and what are we going to talk about? If we're going to do this next meeting, which would be, and I don't mind, and I think it'd be good, is to discuss the matrix report if we all got it together, so at least we have some common understanding of that's what it was in a number of years ago, and what is it now, type thing. Those type things. And is there concerns that we as a committee can see in this report that we should be addressing? And with Ed here, we can specifically look at that if that's what the committee would like to do. Gary, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I would like to go over the report. I read it online, so it is available online. I read it online, but like Joe said, it's kind of extensive and a little dry. So, I'd want to go back over it and make a lot of notes before I made any comments about it. I'd also be curious, Lieutenant, if it would be possible for me and other members to maybe take some ride-alongs, because I'd like to see what the officers in the field feel also, as far as how things are interacting and where they see maybe problems are or whatever.
I think that would be a great idea, and it would be able to address or give you some insights, like Joe was talking about the issues at T Street and those types of things, and how we can do enforcement and the issues that can confine us as well. I think that would be, I'll be honest with you, probably that would be more enlightening and put everything in perspective a lot better than reading the Matrix. And then therefore, I'll give you access to my deputies, and you could ask them issues, and they can tell you, because they're dealing with this every day and every call. And I think it would be great for you guys to give you a starting point, and then you can organize your concerns and thoughts, and at that point we can go from there. But absolutely, you guys tell me when and where, and I will facilitate that request.
Well, if you can give me your phone number,
I'll email it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I saw it on a public forum. I forgot.
I think
You almost had me on that one. You almost got me.
I think we all need to refresh ourselves, of what's going on currently in the field, specifically in this community, because there's some unusual things that are different in this community than some urban areas. And being a beach community, it makes it even more interesting too. So I think I would like to go on a ride along also, just to, touch bases, and that gives us a little more contextual type of an idea of what's going on that end of it. So I think if you wouldn't mind, Ed, emailing us with that information, and so that we can maybe schedule that, I'd find it quite interesting also.
Absolutely. The one thing I will ask for you guys is I would like two things. Either you do 2 ride-alongs days in mids, or you do a split where you see some of the day shift and some of the nights, because they pose different challenges for different sides of the day, and I'd like you to see both sides of that. So if you want to do 2, great. I'll set you guys up for 2. If not, but I would like to have you experience both sides of that. And I'll work with each one of you guys on your schedules when you're available, and I will facilitate that.
Okay, and the other thing for you, Ed, is is the new station on the 2nd floor in a position where you can give a tour and give us a lay of the land type thing of your new digs?
Yeah, we could walk on the 2nd floor. There's nothing, they haven't started construction, but yeah, we could walk along, and I could tell you what the tentative plan is. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great, because it's always nice to get on the bottom floor, and so to speak, and get an idea of what's going on in the city on that, based on the prior location at the old city hall. I understand had some structural problems there.
Well, in addition, within a month or so, we're going to open up a satellite station over at the outlets as well. So we'll have several deputies over there. And so when you guys come tour here, I'll let you know about that as well.
All those things are going to be very, very helpful to understanding what's going through your mind and how you address the community on that too. Good. I think that's very positive in itself. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, Gary, that's a great idea. I think, I'll be riding 2 ride-alongs for sure. Great idea.
Okay. Good. Okay, so as far as, if we want to read this report, this Matrix consultant report, do the ride-alongs also. Now it's going to take some time to coordinate that. Now I would think a month away. Any ideas on that before we can come back and we got a better idea of what's going on? What do you think, Gary?
I think you're right about that. I think we'll have to be about a month away before we can have all that together.
Joe, do you concur?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so I agree with that. Lost my train of thought for a second here. Let me come back to that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I got it.
okay.
I noticed some of these committees have the second Tuesday or, whatever. Is it too early in our time together to say, hey, we're just going to meet on the, I know Adam has got other committees and he has council meetings, so we don't want to interfere with what his schedule is. So is there good days for you, Adam, for us to say, you know what, we're going to want it on the first Wednesday of every month or whatever, or is it best for you that we just say, you know what, we're going to pick this date for next month?
At this point in time, let's pick a date for next month. And let me get some more information from the city clerk's office about our ability to schedule on a regular basis. Like I said, this is a special meeting, and so technically we have to decide the next special meeting at each meeting. But if we can do it for now, and while I have your attention, I'll tell you, I'm looking at the calendar of meetings in the city. There's a few considerations. One of those is the IT staff's time, their availability. We also don't want to overlap with other meetings. So I'll tell you, at this point, the Wednesday, August 19th could work. I would if that's a day that works, then I would recommend that we actually meet closer to 2:30. Only because the planning commission will meet that day at 6, and I want to make sure we don't have any overlap there. August 13th, that's a Thursday. That day could work as well. 3:30 would we would want to. We'd probably want to actually meet at 3, and then make sure that we limit the meeting to 3 hours because there is another meeting that meets there. The other day that would work would be Tuesday, August 4th. I think that's a little soon.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend that one. Otherwise, August 25th is pretty much all clear, and that day would work as well.
How does it look for you, Ed?
All three of those dates work. I am on August 21st. For the rest of the month, I will be on vacation. So anything before that, but Adam,
24th is out.
Yeah, the 21st, the city's dark anyway, so Adam wouldn't be around.
So anything before that, we're good.
Okay. I can make any of those dates you talked about work, Adam.
Yeah, same for me. I can make any of those dates.
Okay, now, as far as the timing, I guess we're all retired, so.
I'm still working.
Not everybody. Not everybody.
You know I am, Gary.
Okay, so as far as timing, is evenings or days or afternoons or whatever, what's your druthers? Because I'm wide open myself.
Yeah, mid-afternoon works for me, or evenings works for me. I like mid-afternoon.
Okay, Gary?
Yeah, mid-afternoon's good.
All right, and then Adam, you want to stay away from night meetings. You want to go home, don't you?
I'm happy to oblige the committee to whenever it works for them. I will tell you, there are other staff people from the city that do need to be present during these types of meetings, and to reduce the staff, the city's resources as it relates to staff overtime, it would be recommended to keep this meeting to mid-afternoon.
Got it. Okay. And that I want some continuity with the staff, that's for sure. I don't want to have a different person every meeting. That's not conducive. So it looks like we're targeting maybe the 13th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Short of Rick being here to say no, I don't know what else to say on that.
Let's schedule it.
I would recommend that the committee votes on that.
Got it. All right, so the measure is August 13th at 3 o'clock for a 3-hour meeting, including a study meeting of problems.
You know, I saw in that ordinance that it's supposed to be only 2-hour meetings. Is that correct, or what? I mean, I'll go 3, but I'm just wondering why that says 2 hours.
That was the original draft of the public safety sheet, and that was revised by council. It is 3 hours.
Okay, all right. Then I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to meet for 3 hours. It's just a limit of 3 hours. I mean, unless we, say, let's go on for another half an hour or something just to wrap it up, right, Adam?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, at 1,500 hours. Okay, so between now and then, we will review the matrix report. Joe, I'll get you back your notes. And we'll try to do these ride-alongs to get an idea of what's going on with that. Anything else that we need from staff to prepare for the next meeting?
So if I can speak up for just a second, what I will do is put together an agenda based on today's discussions and provide the information related to the reports and the OCFA contract, more of the actual details of the services provided, and I will send that out. I'll try to put that together as soon as I can, provide all this information so that everybody has time to review it, and then individually the committee members will contact Ed, Lieutenant Manhart, and set up ride-alongs.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, any other business to attend to?
Yeah, when you sent out, Ed, when you sent out to us, it include if we need to wear masks and stuff like that?
I would recommend, and my staff is wearing masks, so I would recommend that you have a mask.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Gary. Thanks for that thought.
Yeah, that's going to work out well. I think we're all jumping at the opportunity to learn more. That's important. Okay, any other business to attend to before we adjourn?
If I could request, Chairman, that you just read through agenda items 10 and 11. I don't believe there's going to be much discussion on them. And then if you could just read the adjournment and include the 3 p.m. start time.
Gotcha. So agenda item number 10 is unfinished business. Seeing none, we'll go to 11, which is reports of the committee members and staff. I got 1A is police services. Lieutenant Manhart, do you have any reports?
No reports at this time.
Okay. B is committee chair. I don't have anything. And committee members, any reports or any comments? Let's see here. Then the city staff comment.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. So we find ourselves at item 12 is adjourned to special meeting, to the special meeting of the Public Safety Committee to be held at August 13th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And hopefully it'll be in the council chambers at City Hall, located on 100 Avenida Presidio, San Clemente, California. If not, it'll be probably a Zoom meeting. Correct, Kevin?
Yes, and if on the adjournment, this is another vote.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we find ourselves adjourned. We've got a couple of things. I'll get a hold of Rick run by some of this stuff by him and give him an idea. So, alrighty?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
All
All
right.
right. We are done.